And welcome one, welcome all. It's time for NCAA Men's Lacrosse. It is a beautiful afternoon in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Hello, everybody. Alongside my broadcast colleague this afternoon, Kalia Butler. I'm Peter Ferreri. Kalia, this afternoon, the visiting Britons, they have a tall task ahead of them as Carthage is sitting 9-1 overall. What's the outlook on today?
I mean, Carthage has just been on a roll. Their only loss in this season has been to Hope. And when I spoke with Coach Neff, he just said they just didn't put together a full game for that one. But ever since, they have just been cruising. They have just been clicking on all cylinders. He says he still wants them to be able to play a full game. But again, for the Brightons, it's going to be a tough task because this team has not lost at home just yet.
Yes, on the flip side, we spoke about Albion 4-6 overall. They are on a one-game losing streak. They are 2-3 away from home. But Cal Stearns right now, 27 points, 24 goals. He is the one-man band for the Britons.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to have to really rely on him offensively. But again, Carthage has been able to put together a pretty solid defense so far this season as well. So if they're able to shut him out, the Brightons are going to have to find a different offensive threat.
Looking offensively now for Carthage College, again, one of the senior leaders across the board. You have Andrew Johnson, Alec Gurn, Ben Kroc, and Andrew Fry. I mean, the 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's been there, it's been consistent. Talk to me through this as a former player in your own right. What does it mean to have such a core four that have played together so many years?
Yeah, I mean, again, back to my conversation with Coach Neff, those are the core four that he was talking about. And these have been players that have been able to play with each other for years, as you mentioned. And just being able to have that sort of chemistry really speaks volumes, especially on the offensive side of things. Being able to get into a rhythm, knowing where that player is going to be, who's cutting, who's doing what. They've been able to really balance their offense based on that.
Now, one thing I want to mention as well, the defense of the Firebirds. They are outscoring their opponents 152 to 66. So it's not that just they're just putting forth such a great offensive effort. It's defensively, they're just not allowing much to get past the goal. We have seen 4 goalies play for the Firebirds this year, primarily Jake Williamson. We'll see who gets the start today. But what does it mean for you offensively when you know you got one of the best defenses in the nation?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back. If you're only working with Cal Stearns as your main source of offense, that's going to be really difficult. The Firebirds are very sound defensively, so it really just poses a problem of who else can we get going offensively? Who can we have cutting? Who can we have just being another threat?
Let's look once again at where these teams have come into this game. Carthage, of course, only one loss on the year. That was a away game at Hope College, 11-9. They're on a 3-match winning streak. Cornell, Concordia, Wisconsin, and Kalamazoo. Before that, they have only scored less than 10 goals one time this year. Let's talk about the offensive firepower, just generally speaking, Kalia. When you know you're averaging 12-plus goals a game, is the goal, ironically, to get them early and often and maintain that lead, or are you just trying to find the best shot? Where are you at knowing that that's your average and you want to get back to that point and you want to seal it early on?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, you definitely want to get going early because it's difficult back from but even when I was speaking with Coach Neff, as I mentioned, he really wants to make sure that they are playing a full game. So I think that comes back to, yes, you want to get out early, you want to have some quick goals, get that going, but you also don't want to lean back and be like, okay, well, we're up 12 or something, we're going to lean back a little bit. Because, I mean, lacrosse is such an interesting game that
Yeah.
the game's not over until it's over. So I think you just want to make sure that you get out early, but at the same time, being consistent through every quarter and making sure that you can put together a full 4 quarters instead of just getting out ahead and just feeling like you've done the job for the day.
Sure, and before we take a timeout and hand it over to the PA announcer, Justin Corrigan for the national anthem and introductions. When you look at the style of the two teams, Carthage, very physical team. Albion, however, much more of the, finesse team. They don't get called for a lot of fouls. If you're Carthage, how do you handle a team that has just that little bit of a quick burst that you may not be used to?
I think you want to utilize your aggression to your advantage, but also you also have to be careful so you're not getting into any foul trouble because that finesse you kind of grab for things because
Yeah.
they might fake you out this way and then you're going for it and then you're getting yourself in trouble. It might give you more access to the goal. So just playing disciplined defense, I think, will be really prominent for the Firebirds today.
Sounds great. We're going to take a timeout. National anthem and introductions. It's the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Albion, Carthage coming your way momentarily.
Connor Laidlaw. Number 11, Ryan Meldrum. Number 18, Brennan Mercier. Number 19, Ben Scholet. Number 20, Jackson Taylor. Number 32, Andrew Miller. Number 41, Will Tesson. Number 42, Carter Kilday. Number 44, Logan Bride. And in goal, number 12, Caleb Howell. The head coach of the Britons is Jake DeCola. Coach DeCola is assisted by TJ Thomas and Bo Taylor. And now the starting lineup for your Carthage College Firebirds. A 5'9" graduate student from Lakeville, Minnesota, number 1, Andrew Johnson. A 5'9" sophomore from Woodbury, Minnesota, number 3, Ben Thomas. A 5'10" graduate student from Bloomington, Minnesota, number 8, Sam Wallace. A 5'10" sophomore from Oregon, Wisconsin, number 20, Jacob Cameron. A 6'2" junior from Cottage Grove, Minnesota, number 22, Jake Westland. A 5'11" senior from Vernon Hills, Illinois, number 30, Ben Kroc. A 6'4" junior from Monterey, Minnesota, number 32, Josh Flores. A 6'1" graduate student from Barrington, Illinois, number 40, Alec Gern. A 5'10" senior from Broomfield, Colorado, number 45, Andrew Fry. And in goal for the Firebirds, a 5'11" junior from St. Louis, Missouri, number 25, Jake Williamson. The head coach of the Firebirds is David Neff. Coach Neff is assisted by Noah Linder. Fans, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Welcome one, welcome all to the Firebird Broadcasting Network alongside my color commentator this afternoon, Kalia Butler, former player in her own right. I'm Peter Ferreri. Carthage once again coming in with an outstanding 9-1 record overall, 4-0 at home. Albion and the Britons are 4-6 overall. They have lost one, most recently speaking, and that was against Elmhurst in a 14-6 loss. Let's talk about one part of the strategy we haven't really dove into yet, Kalia, and that is the Albion defense. We spoke about how high scoring Carthage is, and Albion in their victories, they haven't got a lot on the offensive side. What are they going to have to do to slow down the strength and seniority of the Firebirds?
I think a lot of it is going to have to come in the midfield. You don't want them to get out in transition. Carthage is a very fast-paced team, and again, if you have 4 different scoring threats, somebody's getting out in transition, and they're trying to get a goal quick. So I think slowing them down in the midfield so that you can get your defensive players ready, set, bring your midfielders back, and you're able to play a solid defense. Because you don't want you don't want Carthage just getting out in front, and you just have a couple defenders there trying to get a stop.
It's a brisk afternoon, we'll say. 46 degrees at the opening face-off. The wind is howling quite a bit off the lakefront of Lake Michigan. Clee, as a former player, how does the wind really affect games like today where it's pretty howling?
I mean, honestly, as a player, the wind never bothered me too much. If it was hailing outside, that was one thing. Rain, that just impacts your visibility. Yes. But I mean, a lacrosse ball is hard. The wind isn't going to impact it way too much, but it's more just making sure you're able to control your passes.
Thought you were going to say the cold never bothered me anyway, but nonetheless, the face-off won by the Firebirds. They're in their home whites with red numbers and letters, black trim with the black helmets and the new red stripes along the top. The visiting Britons in the road purples with gold numbers and letters and white trim. We are here at Keller Field in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Firebirds like to score early and score often, a really spread attack to start things out.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, they have really spread out this offense, but I mean, I think... Oh, sorry, I want to make sure.
Yeah, shot up in a quick save by Williamson, who on the season is... for Howell, who is averaging... has 96 saves on the season, 3-6 as a starter.
But you can see the defense for Carthage already. I mean, they're in a full press, whole field. That's going to be really difficult. They're going to want to break that very quickly if you're the Britons, excuse me.
Back to X. This is one area of the field that the Britons haven't utilized much this season. Good job by the long sticksman, number 32, Josh Flores. Flores, a junior, so much senior leadership on this team. We spoke about it earlier. But front to back, whether it's your defenders, whether it's your goalie, whether it's the attackers, it is all upperclassmen. And a takeaway for the Firebirds, that's number 8, Sam Wallace, your grad student. So again, just the seniority of this team causing the Britons fits early on.
Yeah, and I mean, you can just see, got that stop, able to get, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there, getting out in that transition and just completely shifting to the other side of the field. They were able to get a good stop right there, bring the midfielders back so you can play a good half-field defense.
Falling away with the shot, once again, for those new to the game, welcome. If you're shooting the ball, as long as whoever has the stick closest to the end line gets the retain. If it's a pass, it's a change of possession. Flicking around to the near side, picking it up. Ooh, just a quick miss. Looking for the grab and go was Andrew Fry. That one matriculates all the way back to midfield. A side pass, ill-advised. Who's going to get there in time? That's a good defensive play by the Britons. And Carter Kildray, as he is staunchly defending, Will Tesson now on the defense against Andrew Johnson, the grad student. So it's not only the juniors, the seniors, the graduate students, Kalia, that have also decided to stay on board to give this core for the Firebirds one more run. at a conference title.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just a credit to the program as well. I mean, if you have players that want to stick around even until their graduate year, that showcases that they really want to play not only for the program, but they want to play for the coach. So great job for Coach Neff for doing that.
Now, I'm not going to try to jinx anything, but my last broadcast colleague, Jill Reisig, got so into the broadcast, she decided to use some eligibility and go play once again. So if next season you're out on the field here at Art Keller, I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Honestly, I tell everybody all the time that I really wish I could play lacrosse again. So, I could never have too many degrees at this point.
Exactly.
So
It's a never say never situation. Just take the minimum you have to take. Get out there in the field.
I can do some online classes.
There you go. Even better. Ben Kroc off to Johnson, who's got the compression wrap on his right calf. Fires sidewind. Not able to find is another save by Howell, who's been challenged top shelf mostly this afternoon.
Yeah, Carthage wants to change up some of those shots. I mean, he's kind of expecting that high shelf shot now, want to go low. But also, you saw that super spread out offense, but they haven't really been able to capitalize on it. You saw a pick in that last one, but they're not really getting any motion going.
Quick stretch over the middle with 3 touches. Johnson off to the right. Trying to go back defensively is Howell, and resetting up the offense now, number 20, Jackson Taylor, or mark that, Jake Cameron, the sophomore, one of the few underclassmen that gets those solid reps for the Firebirds. Also, Ben Thomas, one of your long sticksmen, back at the defensive side. And we have a timeout already for the Firebirds. So let's keep it here. Less than 5 minutes into the opening quarter of action, an early timeout. Any thought of why such an early timeout? If you were to speculate.
If I were to speculate, I mean, the Britons are actually doing really strong defensively. Again, Carthage is a team that wants to get out, and you've seen them take multiple shots already. But again, they just want to change up some of those shots that they have going on, kind of an expectation for that top shelf right now. But again, they've really spread out that offense, but it just doesn't really seem like they've been able to get the shots off that they would like to see.
For the Britons right now, I want to use the term they've played a little fidgety right now. They're taking quicker stabs at the ground balls. The one shot opportunity they had off to the right fell out of the netting of the attackers, so it hasn't necessarily been a calming force offensively. If you're in the huddle right now, you see them taking much more time in the huddle, the visiting Britons. What are they, how do you calm yourself down knowing you're against a very tough opponent?
I mean, I think you go into every game just not really caring who the opponent is, sticking true to yourself, knowing what your team is capable of doing. I mean, if obviously there's always going to be a time that you're like, hey, let's just take a breath, let's readjust. But I mean, it's not like Carthage has come out and had all these goals and they're down by multiple right now.
Sure.
They're both in the same place, so it's more just sticking to the game plan and going from there.
Mentioned both clean shots thus far. Top shelf, that one matriculates through, and once again Howell picks up the pieces. Good job defensively by the sophomore out of Battle Creek, Michigan. Anything that's gone high, talk to me strategy wise right now. Firebirds, consistently going high with the shots, and that one even off the grounder was looking for the deflection up top.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, where it's just like you want to switch it up a little bit. The last 3-4 shots have all been high shelf, so at that point the goalie's kind of anticipating it. But especially since he's anticipating it, you want to start going low, you want to try and hit those corners, but they've all been pretty easy grabs.
Mercier took the prior shot. That one actually went into the neck guard off the one hop of Williamson. You kind of saw him shake it out. Oh, a misguided stretch pass. The Britons automatically right back on the offensive side. Long-range shot, lower left corner. And the first goal of the afternoon, number 32, the senior out of Toledo, Andrew Miller, racks up the opening goal of this afternoon's contest.
Yeah, he's already had 3 goals and 4 assists this season, so now make it his 4th. But I mean, that was a really great job. He saw his opening and he took that shot. I mean, there was a big hole in that Carthage defense that I feel like you don't typically see. So great job for him being able to see that gap and get his shot off.
So 1-0 your score. Albion over Carthage. And Albion gets the face-off. So make it, take it. Or FOGO, as they like to say. Face off, get off.
Love all the lacrosse terminology.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People often say, you and I spoke about it in the pregame, and even when we first met, it's one of my favorite sports to call because of all the unique lingo.
Yep.
Grounder, ricocheted away, and the defenseman, Ben Thomas, the 5'9 sophomore, able to get the pieces. He tries to take it all the way past midfield as he'll retreat back past his own retention line. Let's see what Carthage can do offensively now. Thomas does have 2 shots on the season, so not overly surprising to see the long sticksman try to bring it up to the opposing 30.
Yeah, he was trying to see if he can get a shot off there.
Johnson dodges to the left, cross side, goes high again, and once again, Howell, he's just guarding those letters up right now and able to deflect anything away.
Yeah, and I mean, he's doing a great job in goal as well. I mean, he's already faced a couple of shots and has been really great at reading them thus far. But again, if you're Carthage, you need to find some different shot variation.
Shot clock has stopped at 60. 7:50 remain in the opening period of action on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Back at X, making the turn. Good defense once again by the Britons. Number 41, Will Tesson out of Waxhaw, North Carolina. And once again, Kalia almost back to midfield. Goes the Firebirds. Looks for the outlet. They decide to go grounder. That one too far. And it'll stay with the Firebirds. Good job offensively. Number 40, Alec Gurn, the grad student out of St. Viator.
Yeah, laying out to get that chase.
And it's not as if the defense of the Britons have been physically imposing on the Firebirds. They've just taken away every lane. Here comes the slide defensively, and having to reset up for the Firebirds now is Ben Kroc, the senior out of Vernon Hills. Looking for the low shot. Kick save and a beauty by Howell. And the Britons once again thwart the attempt of the Firebirds.
You haven't really seen the Firebirds go behind the goal at all. It just seems like they've kind of had a straightforward attack, again, really stretched out. But, I mean, you want to see something else get going for them just to mix up those shots.
Britons now one clean shot on goal, and how about that?
That was a pretty shot.
Wow! Albion, we were just saying, coming out of the timeout, they were a bit fidgety. They are pure confidence now with what they're able to deliver offensively, now up 2-0.
And especially after that last goal that they had, they also won the face-off. And I feel like that has just sparked an energy for them. They just seem like they're really clicking with each other. Offensively, they're moving the ball very well and getting into those gaps. And kind of, as you said, with the finesse, but they're also getting those shots off quickly, which is important. Nobody's holding the ball for too long. They're passing it around and getting those shots off quick.
Their game on the 22nd, the Firebirds, so 7 days ago, only allowed 5 goals against Kalamazoo in total. Already 2 for Albion. But again, it truly shows that Albion, albeit the record hasn't necessarily been in their favor, it's been more so they haven't found the offensive groove, as we stated, and we're going to maybe have to rely more defensively. That's the script has been flipped. And I think you bring up a good point if you care to elaborate. They have not used more than 10-15 seconds on the possession clock.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really been utilized to their advantage because Carthage is a much slower offense. They like to get out quick in transition, but once they're set up in the half field, they like to spread out, as you said, and be able to get the ball around, see different shots. But I think what's working in Albion's favor is their ability to just get those shots off quickly, knowing that you don't want Carthage to set up in their defense.
So one of the long sticksmen now brings up the pace. Kildre once again.
Wow. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Didn't even have time for a breath. Luke Schumann, the freshman, the pride of Lakeview High School in Battle Creek, Michigan. It is 3-0. Albion is on fire.
I think Carthage does really well defensively. However, they do best when they can get set up in their defense. I think right now Albion is really pushing the tempo, and you can see there's just maybe a miscommunication on the Carthage defense of who has who's sliding. But I mean, some of these shots have just been kind of wide open for Albion, and they're taking advantage of it really quickly.
So a false start on the Firebirds has now allowed Albion once again into the crease. Side shot, that one goes far. The Britons able to stay with possession. I am not quite sure the Firebirds expected this at all. It has just been quick fire shot after quick fire shot. If you're the defense of Carthage, what type of adjustments are you making at this point? As we see one there, maybe a little bit more of a press coming out front for the Firebirds. Up ahead, a little bit of a slide, able to regain the composure. Thought about the shot, kicked up is Howell.
I think Albion is now pushing the tempo of Carthage and kind of getting them dysfunctional because, again, that wasn't necessarily the shot that you had to take. It was a solid book, but if this is a team that, likes to spread out, see what they can do, obviously they need to mix it up a little bit, but it was not the best shot. I think right now they're looking for a good shot, not a great shot.
Back on the offensive. Along the right side, dodging back, turning things around. Jacob Cameron, the sophomore out of Oregon, Wisconsin. And right now, if you're the offense of the Firebirds, again, you've had shots this afternoon, none of them clean thus far. You are already sitting at 7 shots, so 7-4. You are out shooting your opponent by 3 shots. However, 3 out of their 4 were good, and there's the answer back. Number 22 for the Firebirds, Jake Westland, the midfielder, able to come away with the goal. And Carthage gets on the board. Westland with goal number 12.
Yeah, Westland 12 goals on the season now. But, I mean, he did a great job at being able to get in quick and go for a low shot this time instead of continuing those top shelf shots.
Yeah, at some point you have to say to yourself, how many times are we can continue with this top shelf? He's got Howell, a very good base, and is just aiming high, knowing that stick is staying letter high, face mask high, and challenging them to go low. They did go low once, and he had a kick save, but nonetheless, face off. Firebirds trying to come away with it. Kicks off to the side, ground ball. Picked up on the near side, the speedster number 34, Rocco Paddock, the sophomore out of Palatine. And now the Firebirds looking to set up once again on the offensive. Here, let's see a replay of that last go. Talk us through it, Kalia.
Yeah, great job just getting his shoulder in front and just kind of gave himself a clear path. You could see the slide came late, and at that point, he was already getting his shot off. So great job just reading that gap and being able to get a quick shot off. And again, that low shot, switching up the shot variation.
Great job by the replay crew to get us that. Nice slow motion off to the left side. Off the middle, the grounder again kicked away. Actually went off of the foot of number 45, Andrew Fry, the senior. Again, not quite sure the Firebirds expected this efficient offense, ground ball, and picked up by the Britons. Retreating back, number 13, Ethan Barker, the sophomore, out of Michigan. Neither team so far, I don't want to necessarily be cliche and say have settled in, but they're both very quick. First shot they're taking and not utilizing much of the shot clock. Grounder down, saved by Williamson. Still on the ground. Who can come up with it? Chip to the near side. Smart IQ play by Josh Flores marked that. Flores now picks it up on the near side. Resetting up the attack, gets it quickly to Alec Gurn.
Yeah, and that's great defense right there, and especially trying to get that ground ball after you just had your goalie have a huge save. You want to make sure that they're able to recover. As you said, kind of knocked it away, picked it up, able to get it to the offense.
Minute 45 remaining in the opening quarter of action. Looking for the screen off the right side. Back to X. Johnson resets up on the near wing. Johnson tries to go long range. On the spot was Alec Gurn.
I like that look, though, because he's able to come off that screen, and you can see him wind up. It was just a little bit off. But, again, kind of looking back to those low corner shots that have been working for them.
Again, the Firebirds' last game was a 12-5 victory over Kalamazoo College a week ago. And another goal! There's more of the long-range missile we've been expecting from the powerhouse attacker out of Barrington, Illinois, Alec Gurn.
Yeah, I mean, had 41 goals last season, so has been an absolute powerhouse for Carthage. And as you said, being able to be that spread out and just get that shot off, he's got a rocket of an arm right there.
In their last contest, Firebirds scored the first 2 goals before Kalamazoo found their first. They did tie it up at 2 apiece. So not the usual for the Firebirds to be down early. However, they have brought the contest back within 1. Do you expect the Britons to utilize the remaining 50 seconds of the game clock?
I mean, at this point, they've been able to create they have a lead for themselves right now. But, I mean, you want to utilize as much as you can so Carthage doesn't get a shot off. But they might now.
Yeah, well, Williamson, here's another look at that last goal. The spin and just going low. He felt the pressure off that right hip. Went left. Oh, my goodness. From forever downtown. I cannot wait to see a replay of that goal. We are tied at 3. I think that was a 75-foot goal. Oh, my Lord. I don't know if I've ever seen one from that far away unless it's a goal-to-goal.
And, I mean, he is fired up. You can just tell the whole team running over to him. I have to see that one again.
We are tied at 3 with 28.2 seconds left. It's a 3-0 run for the home Firebirds. They have not lost at Keller Field here in Kenosha yet this season. And for all intents and purposes, that is a highlight reel goal by Sam Wallace. Automatically on the offensive again, seemingly, are the Firebirds and number 1, Andrew Johnson.
You can tell Carthage kind of getting back into a rhythm now, and they want to get those shots off early as they once have.
Here's a look at the replay. At the 20, the 25, he is at left foot, heel, on the 30-yard line marker, and the goalie was so far out, Howell, I mean, wow.
Kind of curious why Howell was so out of goal in that, but I mean, really utilized it and was like, hey, if he's not there, let's just see. I mean, that's great aim, too, from full field. What an insane shot.
That is a Kalia Butler style long-range shot. We are tied at 3 apiece. We'll take a timeout. End of quarter number 1. Albion 3, Carthage 3 on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. 3-3 your score with the third career goal of the Long Stickman defenders. Number 8, Sam Wallace. And Kalia, you and I were talking about it during the break. That's not something you're sitting there during practice and trying to do 70-yard bombs.
No, and I mean, I saw Steph Curry make like a full court shot the other day, but that's something he practices, right?
Yes.
In lacrosse, that's not very typical. I think a lot of that was based on luck, but also being able to read that the goalie was that far out of goal and not really anticipating that he's going to have to go all the way back into goal to try to save that at that point. So, I mean, if you see it wide open, you're like, hey, let's see if it happens.
Again, just a week ago, it was a 2-2 tie at the end of one before the Firebirds really started to pull away from Kalamazoo. We are tied at 3. Albion started out 4 for 5 for their shots to shots on goal ratio. As efficient as can be, Carthage answering back with 2 goals in the final 90 seconds of that opening quarter of action. And let's see if you could say that the Firebirds weathered the Britain storm. Teams have switched sides, near side. Again, chilly afternoon. Not quite sure if that was a pass or a shot. They are indeed going to say that was a pass.
Interesting. Okay. It did seem like it was trying to get a shot off. But I mean, that was good. That was great defense by Carthage, being able to read that. Got 2 checks within that pass, and then being able to come back and get into some offense.
Yeah, you saw some of the coaches on the sideline throw their hands up like, hey, he was trying to shoot it while falling down after that check, but good job defensively by the Firebirds. Get their hands in the correct position so they're not called for any infraction. Teams have switched sides. Nice save down low once again by Howell, trying to squirt it back out, and the Britons come up with the offensive possession. Howell comes away with it.
I mean, Howell has really been an anchor for their defense today, too. I mean, the amount of stops that he's had and just being able to get that out. Besides the 1 goal he let in and from full field, I mean, he's really having a great day.
Schumann tries to fight through again. Both these teams just the frantic pace. Oh, a misguided pass to the far side, and that is a gimme play as Andrew Miller, who already has a goal, is able to pick it up on the far side. You saw the Williamson just throw his head up in frustration as his defender started running without the possession.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of just back to your point of just the frustration that you see both of these teams having. I don't think either team expected the other team to perform the way that they are. So it just seems like there's a lot of nervous energy here. And again, trying to maybe bring the pace back down and settle in.
And coming away with it defensively are the Firebirds. That was a really shifty play, able to pull it back toward them. That's utilizing the ground, utilizing your space around you, trying to fight through. Ground ball, finally coming away with it. Number 11 for the Britons is Ryan Meldrum, the midfielder senior out of Romeo, Michigan. And already, similar to quarter number 1, a quick timeout, this time for Albion. Maybe they're trying to readjust what they've seen offensively. Not sure if we're going to get another opportunity to see that long-range shot again. But with that being said, do you try to shift, if you're either team, Kalia, to maybe force your team to use more of the shot clock at this point? Because right now it's just shot, save, flip side. Shot, save, flip side.
Yeah, and I mean, you are running full field half the time, especially if you're midfield. You do not want to tire your midfield out that quickly, burn them out this early in the game. You want to be able to settle down a little bit, run some offense, and again, that is something that Carthage does well at. They run the shot clock typically much longer, but I think the defense has kind of rushed those shots, and I mean the same thing on the other side. They were having success Albion was having success when they were able to get those shots off quickly. So now they're trying to do the same thing, but it's not working at this current moment. So I think both of these teams just need to readjust, take a breath, and try and utilize the shot clock a little bit more so you can get everybody involved.
My other thought, too, is right now, all these quick shots off of whoever has that opening possession, I'm almost saying to myself that one-touch pass could be a wide-open lane because both goalies right now, for all intents and purposes, they're just predicting whoever has it, that's the shot that's coming my way. They don't even have to worry about the one-off.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you're saying. That's what we've seen. And I think we haven't really seen a lot of assists in this game so far. So being able to get out, get passing, you want to see some more cuts through the lane as well. But again, it just seems, as you mentioned, the player, whoever is holding the ball is going to be the one shooting. And that gives the goalie too much time to prepare for that shot.
Britons take over, 11 and a half remaining until halftime. It has been a fast-paced opening half of action. Not a lot of offense for the Firebirds until the conclusion of that opening quarter. Firebirds come away now with the turnover, the ill-advised pass by the Britons. So passing on that left half of the field, that'll be a question you ask next time you talk to Coach Neff, is if his team has a preference of which way or which direction they like to go. Because I've seen for other teams they have a preference, we really like to head toward the north or toward the south. Not quite sure. Did you have a preference back in your playing days?
I didn't, but also we didn't really play against the lake either.
Okay.
So I feel like maybe that's a factor for Carthage as well. Maybe which way the wind is blowing off the lake.
Gurn back at X. Johnson looks for the double screen, able to get it. Fires long range. Andrew Johnson, bangarang. Top shelf goal for goal number 28 on the season.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why he was named to the All-CCIW first team. I mean, that shot, just a lot of power in that. And I think I've seen that out of Carthage offensively. They take a lot of power shots, while we've seen Albion take a little bit more of the finesse shots, as you mentioned early on. But those power shots are no joke either, and got passed quick into the goal.
Coleman in the face-off circle for the Firebirds and able to come away with it. Face-offs haven't been the strength so far of Carthage this afternoon, so if you're a Firebirds fan, you like to see coming away with that. Did you ever dabble in the face-off circle or that center draw control area?
Oh, no, I never took the draw. I think I tried it at practice once. I was like, you know what, I'm good on this, actually. Definitely takes a lot of skill.
Screen off to the left. Good screen by the Firebirds. Back to X, looking top of the marker, down, and a huge save by Howell. Johnson went low again, and Howell read that one out. Howell has done such a good job, albeit has allowed 4 goals. The amount of saves that he has had, high or low, he is learning from each and every attacker what their tendencies are.
Yeah, he's anticipating very well, and again, Carthage does take a lot of shots. So the fact that, he's allowed 4 goals, he's having a great afternoon still, because Carthage just takes so many shots on goal, and his ability to read a lot of them. But what I do find curious is he comes out very far out of the goal, and especially after the one shot that he had witnessed. I don't know if I want to be this far out. Again, I know he's coming out, getting a little defense going right here, but...
No, you just brought it to my attention. He is at the 40-yard marker for the football field hash. And so that is likely the reason we saw Wallace take that 70-yard bomb. Taken away. And let's see if they try the same thing this time around.
I mean, he's still sitting defensively, has not gone back to goal at all.
Now retreats back, trying to in haste. He seems comfortable with that. It is not often I see at the men's level a goalie comes so far, so comfortably out of goal, and then trotted back.
Now I'm looking on the Carthage side. Yeah, I mean, still coming out, but that's 30-yard line. That's typical. Go talk to your defense, stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't really seen a goalie go and play, go take a man and be like, hey, we're going to wait until he gets past midfield.
Johnson turnaround and the shot wrap around. Howell able to find it yet again.
Howell made that look so easy. Like, he just anticipated it. It's
Yeah.
just like, here you go.
Yeah, again, allowing a few goals, but nonetheless, pure confidence by the Britons goalkeeper, the sophomore. So the Britons now looking to tie things up. 3-3 at the end of only one goal scored thus far in quarter number 2. Tripping down is Sam Wallace. Opportunity! You kind of felt it happen. Once Wallace slipped, the Britons were up one man, and Mercier, the senior out of Brighton, Michigan, ties it up at 4 apiece.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a great read, just coming off the crease and then being able to just kind of fly shot it in there. But again, a great read, great roll, and getting that shot off quickly.
So Howell has faced 9 shots, allowed 4 goals. Williamson now has faced 5 shots, allowed 4 goals. Tied at 4. And again, not to use the old cliche or old adage of, throw the record books out. It's a non-conference matchup before both these teams hit conference play. Last time they faced each other almost a year ago to the day, March the 30th of last year. And a timeout going to get called by the Firebirds this time around. But the last time they met, as we saw another shot of that goal, 19-12 was the final. It was a 5-1 lead after 1 for Albion. They scored 6 more in the second. They were up 11-2 at halftime. Carthage tried valiantly to come back. But you see, because of the seniors, the grad students for the Firebirds, they haven't forgotten that they lost 19-12 and were trailing by 11-2 at half. However, Albion is saying, regardless of who was on that team last year and who's getting the goals now, they have done just a solid job. And like you and I said, in my prep for this game, this was not my expectation at all. I was expecting the finesse of the visiting Britons to really utilize more of that shot clock down, try to slip in some few goals along the crease as they've done this season. That hasn't been the case at all.
No, it hasn't. And I mean, I think that's being used to their advantage. Again, you have to read what every team is giving you defensively, but also knowing that when you're going up against a team like Carthage, you're going to have to change your point of attack. So I think what they've been able to do, and again, keeping this at a 4-4 game, as we said going into this, not something that you anticipated. Again, you can't always judge the record of a team coming in. But again, Carthage that has been on just such a dominant role so far this season, seeing that they're really going pace to pace in this one.
One thing to note as well, that if you've watched the Firebirds in years past, the scorekeepers and bench are on the near sideline. In years past, they were on the far sideline. Not quite sure what that change was, but clearly doesn't affect the game at all, just observation. Tied at 4, 6:45 remaining. We haven't dared to mention the shot clock at all because it has not been a factor in the slightest. I don't even know if we've gone less than 30. Spinning around, looking for the one touch. There it is. Kick save again by Howell. Gurn tries to clear. Chasing it down at full speed. And that will switch possession to the Britons.
You can see a little frustration there by the offense of Carthage, knowing that they just let that possession slip from them.
So last year, Stearns got the first 2 goals of the game for the Britons. Firebirds answered back with Georgie Birchfield, a veteran name of the Firebirds and long-tenured player in his own right. But then the Britons just kept piling it on. Different output this year. Britons now far side. Defense starting to pressure a little bit more for the Firebirds. 25 on the shot clock.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can see that sort of aggressive nature that the Firebirds have defensively start to spark a little bit more. I mean, they're really getting up on those players now and making it very difficult to get a shot off. But I stand corrected.
Wow, what a grounder. Number 4, we said his name for his success last year, finds another one, this time around. Cal Stearns able to deliver. I mean, that was a low grounder, good trajectory, just bounced under Williamson.
Yeah, and again, just kind of that ability to, I think he came off a screen or some player, and was just able to get that read, get his arms extended behind him, and just get that shot, as you mentioned, low. And it looks like we're getting in some goalie practice over here for Carthage. Might see a switch sometime soon.
We did mention earlier, for the Firebirds, 4 goalies for each team have seen playing time this year. Let's take another look at the goal.
Yeah, you see the pass here, and ability to come off and just see that opening. You can see, and this is what I was mentioning earlier, just being able to get some assists. Not every player just man for himself, take the shot, but that quick pass to a big extension and a shot. Great job by Albion.
So it looks like we're going to have our first violation called of the afternoon with only 4:17 remaining.
Got some laundry on the field.
Yep.
That's my favorite one. That's one of my top lacrosse ones. Some laundry on the field.
Shot high, Williamson comes away with the save. And we'll see what the violation indeed's going to be, as the officials have a conversation. I didn't quite see what it was. Some contact after the ground ball. Officials today: Eric Trapp, Mark Howard, Matt Bach, and Mary Grace Sinmark. So now we have an official coming over to talk to the Firebirds bench. So it's going to be a 60-second infraction. And taking a knee is going to be Jake Westland. So your score 5-4. And Albion, up by 1, will have a 60-second advantage. Oh, and another grounder from the far side. The zone defense couldn't collapse quickly enough. And the Britons, another one. On the far side, they shoot from near, they shoot from far, and the Britons now regaining their composure offensively.
Yeah, and you can see Carthage here getting in a goalie change now, subbing in Luke Bloomer, the sophomore. I mean, again, great effort to start for Carthage, especially in goal, but now you want to just try and see what another goalie can do answering some of these shots that Albion has been able to get off.
Bloomer has played in 6 games, Logged 147 minutes, 18 goals against, 25 saves.
Ooh, good nugget right there by Albion. I almost didn't notice it at first. But yeah, great nugget just being able to get into those passing lanes. And again, momentum really going Albion's way, especially after they score. It seems like they're able to get a stop defensively, win a face-off, and get back into an offensive groove.
And it looks like we're going to have another timeout. So the penalty was an unnecessary roughness on Jake Westland. Schumann with the man-up opportunity and the assist from Fabrizio Ricidi. And as mentioned, Luke Bloomer, the change at goal. Are you surprised they switched goalies not at halftime, but in real time in the second period? Or you say, hey, if you're going to do it, now's the time?
I think if you're going to do it, now's the time. You don't necessarily have to wait to the half because, again, you also don't want the game to get out of hand. 6-4, it's not a terrible lead. You're not down by a bunch. But at the same time, if Albion starts to get on a roll and you have the same goalie and that's just not responding to the shots today, you want to get that switch right away, especially after that last goal. Now you want them to be able to go against a different goalie because that might have to switch the sort of shots that they have as well.
Well, again, Williamson on the afternoon faced 6 shots, allowed 6 goals, or I should say had 6 saves and allowed 6 goals, so it was right around that 500 mark. Howell on the flip side, 10 saves, 4 goals against. So a situation where it's that first read you mentioned, Klee, and talk to me through. I know you didn't, venture much back into the goalie cage, but with that being said, you got to be able to at least tell your defense, I'll stop the first one. And it just wasn't happening for Williamson at a high enough clip this afternoon.
It wasn't. I mean, sometimes that's just the afternoon that you're having. Again, I think really early on he had faced 5 shots, let in 4, so it just might not be his afternoon sort of thing. So you want another goalie to come in, be able to just carry the defense a little bit, especially since Carthage does have a very sound defense.
And again, when you are undefeated at home and 9-1 record, even though this is a non-conference game, you still want to have that confidence going into conference play very shortly that this is still your home field.
Yeah, you don't want to lose at home the whole season, but especially you don't want to lose at home. Yeah, especially to a non-conference team. I feel like if you're gonna take one of those losses, at least it's against maybe a conference team. You're fighting off. I don't know. You don't want to lose at home in general.
Yeah.
And I think they've been able to protect home field very well. But again, the game's not over until it's over. But Albion has really come out and gave them a run for their money to start so far.
Johnson off to the far side, gets the screen, looks for the grounder. Not sure who's able to get there, and the Britons able to do so. The goalie, Howell, read that like a book, turned around and extended.
I mean, the IQ of Howell is just absolutely insane. He's been able to read absolutely everything from the type of shots that they've been taking, anticipation. He has just really anchored their defense the entirety of this afternoon. And you can tell that's why he feels so comfortable coming out to the 40-yard line, because he's really anchoring the defense and kind of positioning them for success so far this afternoon.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, again, you take away that 1 goal from long range by Wallace, he's truly allowed 3 normal, quote, goals. And once again, Albion now looking to extend their lead with about 90 seconds remaining until half. A fast contest this afternoon. Play it goes. Let's see who comes away with possession, and they're going to give that to the Firebirds.
Yeah, as you mentioned, though, a very fast-paced game. It's just good. There hasn't been a lot of stops in this game. It's just been very go, go, go. And I think both these teams just came out with a lot of energy today. Maybe some slight nerves, but I think that they've really just kept it going through this one. As we mentioned earlier, there hasn't really been a lot of set defense. I mean, again, we haven't had to look at the shot clock very often here because it's happening within the first 20 to 30 seconds.
50 seconds on both the shot clock and the game clock, so almost an exact match. Now, we said at the end of quarter number 1, we'd be surprised if the Britons didn't utilize more of the shot clock. Let's see if the Firebirds pay mention. 30 on the shot clock. High shot right under the crossbar. Hang the coat on the shelf. Number 30 for the Firebirds. Ben Kroc out of Vernon Hills delivers.
And Ben, again, one of those seniors at midfield that just really makes up a core for this group and just being able to kind of get those reads again, just being able to slide off and get that shot high and finish in the goal.
Now, with the ability in the face-offs for the Britons, statistically speaking, it has favored the Firebirds 9-3. The Britons have one more timely face-off in them, leading by 1 with 20 seconds remaining. Trying to fight through, the Britons do come away with it. 10 on the shot, game clock. Near side, the one touch, point blank, and stopped right at the goal crease with 1.8 seconds remaining until half. The Britons almost came away with that goal we just mentioned.
Yeah, and that's a great job by Bloomer being able to get that stop because you do not want them, you don't want Albion to have that momentum going into the half, first of all, with up 2 goals at that point, if he were able to make it. But again, he was really the only line of defense at that point. So his ability to read that one as well and get a stop is huge for the Firebirds to keep this one within 1 before half.
So I believe, so there is an infraction on the far sideline, or as you like to say, a little bit of laundry. Not quite sure what impact it's going to have. Let's get the official call. So we have a slashing called for 60 seconds. A reset of the shot clock, but nonetheless 1.8 until halftime. So if you're the Britons, it's that one step in and give it your best haul. Coaching staff for the Britons not content to having a few more words with the officials, not quite sure about what. There's the whistle, and they indeed, instead of even trying to take a shot, just walk off the field. So your score at halftime, Albion 6, the Firebirds 5. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, halftime analysis, stats, and more on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
At the half, your score, Albion 6, Carthage 5.
And welcome into the halftime report live on the Firebird Broadcasting Network alongside Kalia Butler. I'm Peter Ferreri. Kalia, it has been a surprising first half. The Britons came out really storming, 3 goals in the opening half. Firebirds answered back, but the Britons only lead by 1, but it has been that finesse style, that first shot. What have you seen so far in this afternoon's contest?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen exactly what you just said. I mean, the shot clock has been a huge factor today in terms of it's really not being used
Yes.
all too much. All of it has just been very quick shots. And again, sort of that finesse that we speak of in terms of Carthage. Their offense has been more trying to wait it out a little bit, but they kind of responded to what Albion was doing and started getting their shots off quickly. But a lot of theirs has been more power-based than it has been finesse.
Talk me through the goalie change again. I know we mentioned it just at the end. We thought maybe there might be a shift coming in because it's that first shot that wasn't necessarily getting defended quite well. Next thing you know, they make the change midway through quarter number 2. What's the mentality now? You're that goalie coming in halfway through and you're trying to stop the offense of the Britons, which has been pretty high-powered.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great time to do it. Just again, you don't want to necessarily have to wait until you get into halftime to be able to make that change. I think it's important to just have that goalie see those shots now so they can get adjusted, as well as Albion now having to potentially change their offensive plan as well based on how well the goalie is able to make some of those stops, especially off the first goal, and being able to just kind of well-round their defense again.
Looking now at some of the team stats, 6-5 the goal differential. The 5 assists to 1 is really a huge difference, and then 25 shots to 17. What stands out with you between these two stat lines?
I think the assists. I mean, you have 6 goals with 5 assists, and compared to 5 goals with just 1 assist. Again, it seems for Carthage, offensively seems a little bit stagnant today in terms of, as we mentioned earlier, whoever has the ball is going to shoot, basically. Instead of Albion, I feel like they've been doing a pretty solid job at moving that ball around and sharing it with each other. That has led to some of those quick shots getting off.
We'll take a timeout when we come back. Second half action. Can the visiting Britons get a road victory, or the Firebirds continue on their winning ways at home? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. And welcome into half number 2, 15 minutes on the clock. For former player Kalia Butler, I'm Peter Ferreri. We appreciate you being with us this afternoon in Kenosha. So starting off half number 2 are going to be the Britons with the 1-point lead, and an ill-advised pass will matriculate past the 50-yard line, and just like that, Carthage has an opportunity to tie it up. That's what you call a quick turn of events in the first 15 seconds of action. Not to play scenarios right now, Kalia, but a misguided pass attempt. The goalie on the ground. Nice swipe from behind. What a huge play by Sam Wallace. He had the long-range goal and a goal-safe check from behind.
Yeah, that's a really big strike.
Wow.
Because, Albion easily could just go off, get another shot right there. Goalie's not in position to help out, so the ability to read that and get that check from behind, sort of unanticipated, really great defensive effort.
Oh, and we had an opportunity almost for the Firebirds offensively, but they're going to get called with a slash, and so it is a frantic opening of the second half, and already a goal for the Britons right off of the reply. Bottom right corner this time goes Albion, and they extend their lead back to 7-5. It's hard to say this all happened in 58 seconds.
Yeah, we're not even 5 minutes, and it's all happened right out the gates. But this is what Albion did to start off the game. In the first period, I think that is really what has helped them get into their offensive flow, where it's just like you see one go in. Now it's okay, how do we capitalize? How do we create more opportunities? How do we get multiple in a possession, in a quarter? And I think their hot starts have been able to power them through the end of the period. I think on the Carthage end, this is what Coach Neff was talking about, some of their self-inflicted wounds, but also their ability to play full quarters. They have had slow starts throughout the season. Again, they've had a successful season, but they've also had slow starts that haven't gotten them quite in these positions like this just yet. But Albion, they're trying to get their season on track, so they have a completely different outlook coming into it.
So just like that, Albion regains the 2-goal advantage. Let's see if the Firebirds utilize more of the shot clock. Neither team paying much mind of it this entire afternoon. Albion once let it get to about 20 seconds. But that first shot attempt goal, regardless of the goalkeeper right now for Carthage, has been the strength of Albion. And again, that change of pace. We talked about the physicality for Carthage versus the quick twitch response of Carthage, and an ill-advised pass by Carthage, and Albion will take over.
And it just seems like Carthage has not been able to get into their offensive rhythm that you typically see them have. Even the core four, you don't really see them passing to each other efficiently. Nobody's really getting off their shots the way that they want to. Again, still a 7-5 game. However, Carthage doesn't look like they're in the same rhythm, and I think Albion has really sort of sped them up. And again, some of those self-inflicted wounds right there. Too much on that pass. That's typically not something you would see from this very veteran level team.
Mercier gets his second goal. And that's another thing to keep in mind for the Britons right now. It's such a diversified attack. No player has hit the hat trick mark yet out of their 7 goals. And Mercier and Schumann with 2 apiece. So when we spoke about in the pregame, we said, you have to really keep an eye, kept saying keep an eye on Cal Stearns. Stearns only has 1 goal out of the 7.
Yeah, and I think it's just been a really well-balanced attack for Albion, as you said, and getting shots off from different areas, different levels. You mentioned nobody's reached a hat trick just yet, but Carthage hasn't necessarily had to take out Stern because they have to focus on the entire offense because everybody has been able to get involved, and I think that has really balanced out the Britons.
Well, and one thing to keep in mind as well, you could say, okay, maybe early on, Carthage was keeping a soft focus on where is Stearns. Is he going to get the pass? Is he going to take the shot? Right now, they just got to worry about their own business and who that first shot is, because that's where they're going with it. And that will stay possession with the Firebirds. Trailing by 2. And the other thing to keep in mind, they are out shooting their opponent 25-18 right now. And so the shots are getting there. They're just not on the mark.
And I mean, you can see in that crease roll right there, too, just a little bit off the goal. And I mean, I really think it might just be the presence so far in goal in this game. I mean, made it very difficult to get some of those typical shots. He's really been able to kind of, he's really just carried the defense today. I mean, his ability to read and anticipate in goal this entirety of the game, it might make them a little bit nervous on that attack.
Neither team spending much time back at X today. Again, it has been 1 or 2 passes, lock and load. Britain's now 28 on the shot clock. Utilizing much more passing along the far side than usual. .15 on the shot clock now. The behind the back look. Tried to get the one touch off, unable to do so successfully. Andrew Miller out of St. John's High School took one too many steps, and Carthage now in the attack.
And that's where the finesse can kind of lose you a little bit, where you're trying to do a little too much, having some fun with it again, but you're only up 2 goals. You don't want to get any of those possessions past you, because if Carthage can get on a roll, this has clearly been a team that knows how to get themselves back in a good position.
So Andrew Johnson lost possession on the near sideline, and just like that, Albion has a chance to extend their lead back to 3 when they were up 3-0 early on in quarter number 1. Let's see if the defense, again, you being a former defenseman, let's see what adjustments they could potentially make. In the crease, and a huge save, as a few Firebirds hit the ground, and pushing the pace up ahead is Andrew Johnson.
That was a really big save by Bloomer, too, because Albion was able to get past the defender right there. Really easy crease roll open, wide open just to Bloomer, but Bloomer able to get that stop. Really big for Carthage. And I think he's really done a great job stepping in and being able to do some of that anticipation that we have seen and anchor that defense.
Yeah, again, as mentioned, it was just that first shot. Can you give your defense an opportunity? Because the Britons haven't necessarily needed to follow through after that first shot attempt with the efficiency they've been scoring at. And so now that may be an adjustment they have to make. Grounder not able to find the back of the net, but Johnson on the spot to pick it up. Falling away. Reset of the shot clock. Howell comes away with another save. Just like that, Carthage, who scored 3 in the opening quarter of action, pickup. Johnson, point blank in bottom left corner. What a turn of events in that sequence for the Carthage College Firebirds. Andrew Johnson out of Lakeville, Minnesota, able to come away defense into offense.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, the entirety of the bench is just gotten up and they're excited. Rocco Paddock, I saw him slap his stick on his helmet. I mean, they're fired up again. Only down 1 goal now, but that's a big goal right there. And these defensive stops, no matter how close you are to the goal or not, on one half, the one that you just saw, really able to create offensive opportunities for themselves, and hopefully they can just keep that ball rolling.
Timeout called by the Firebirds. While we have a moment, Kalia, you had something, a very interesting tidbit. The Carthage College 15 principles of Firebird lacrosse. We don't necessarily have the graphic, but if you can kind of explain to us the basis of what the Firebirds are doing this season with head coach David Neff and what he's trying to do for this team.
Yeah, so he said that this is something that he has utilized for some time now. I'll maybe just get the bottom one right here while we have it. So the bottom layer of this graphic is integrity, passion, toughness, selfless, and perfect effort. I mean, I think he's just really trying to create a culture here that prioritizes giving it your all in every game. He said that, they have had a good season, and this is a team that has had success in years prior. Last year, maybe not the season that they necessarily wanted, but he said that he has really always prioritized making sure that he has built strong character out of each one of his players, no matter if they're winning games, losing games. And I think just this building block that they have, just the foundation of perfect effort. I'll read what they have here. We are going to make mistakes. We don't expect anyone to be perfect. It won't happen. We do expect everyone to give their most perfect effort with everything they do, even integrity. Do the right thing, especially when no one else is watching. And I think that really just exemplifies who he wants his players to be outside of the field, in the classroom, once they move on from the program. And he said that that was one of his key focuses. No matter if they're winning games, losing games, he just wants to make sure there are good people coming in and out of his program.
Great job. Thank you for that. Just shows that it takes more than just practice on the field to have a successful team. One thing to note, number 22, Jake Westland, the junior, is currently on the bench without his helmet or stick currently. So something to keep in mind for the rest of the game when one of your starting midfielders is not in the contest and for all intents and purposes looking like he is not going to return. That is a key cog is when any of your players are out, but especially that of a midfielder. So he's back on his feet right now, so we'll see if anything happens from it. But show him stretching out his shoulder. But nonetheless, seeing who gets to it, and the near side able to come away with it, number 32, Andrew Miller on the spot. But again, not to say any one position is more important than another, but if your midfielder is out of the contest, that's that transition we were talking about. So trying to break the ride, trying to get that defense into offense. Bottom left corner, big save by Bloomer. What an impact he's had since subbing into the game.
And that's why I said earlier, you don't have to wait till halftime to bring him in, because you can just see the impact that he has had on the defense immediately. So again, it's always a next man up mentality. When one player isn't necessarily having the afternoon that they typically can have, who is next in line? And Bloomer's ability to come in as a sophomore, didn't really see that much time last season, appeared in about 11 games. But being able to come in and make an impact and help your team when necessary is huge. And he's been really good at being able to anticipate and, again, saving some of those shots so the defense can get going.
So we are going to have an infraction after this shot. Andrew Johnson, the equalizer. Give him the hat trick at goal number 30 on the season. What a play. The infraction likely to be, not quite sure if it'll be implemented or not, but one of the Britain players went past the retention line. And so the bench for the Firebirds were, let's just say, adamant that that play get called, and the official on the near side said, I'll get there, and had to get past midfield himself to throw the flag. But because the goal was scored, infraction waved off, and we are tied at 7 apiece on the hat trick for Andrew Johnson.
I mean, just the efficiency of this game so far today. I mean, a 7-7 game. It's been basically a 0-0 game the entirety of this time. And I mean, just you could look right here, the ability to one-hand it, bring it across, keep your stick high and finish. I mean, that was beautiful by Andrew Johnson, a hat trick on the day. And again, a grad student who has just been with this program for so long and has just improved himself season after season and been a consistent threat for the Firebirds offensively.
Ground ball opportunity swiped away for the Firebirds. Jackson Schulz, the freshman out of Port Barrington, Illinois. And that will turn the defense into offense. And it is a brand new game, like you mentioned, more or less zeros on the board. We do want to remind everybody immediately following this game, the women's lacrosse team will be in action. Kalia Butler will be on the call with that alongside Chris Labasco. Or if you fancy volleyball or just use split screen, one on a tablet, one on a phone, one on your TV, whatever way you want to go, the men's volleyball team will be in action. I will be jumping over to that call. So many successful programs right now, Kalia. The women's lacrosse program, the turnaround shot down. Huge save again by Howell. Ground ball! Oh my goodness! It's like a golf shot. Putt, putt, goal.
And that's a great read to just, see how close you are to the goal. You don't need to get a ground ball. You don't need to get it back into the offense. You just flick it in right there. And fantastic, just heads up play. Goalie is out of the box, just being able to flick it right in, and now you put your team up.
Carthage trailed by as many as 3. Now lead 8-7 with 4:50 remaining in quarter number 3. A rejuvenated Firebird squad, and once again winning the faceoff. So very early in the contest, the faceoffs favored the visiting Britons. It is not the case anymore. The script has been flipped, and the Firebirds now in the attack.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, the faceoffs have, you see right here, the ability to just body in, get it off, didn't quite make it, ball is on the ground, anybody up for grabs that could take it. Quick head, you don't even really see where it's coming from. Goalie was still on the ground basically, just quick heads up play to flick it right in, and again, putting your team up ahead. But to the face-off points, as you mentioned, that has been really key in the momentum of the offense for both of these teams. Whoever has won the face-off has been able to get into an offensive rhythm and has been able to score. They're either scoring and winning the face-off as well.
The Britons now on the offensive for the first time in what seems like an eternity. After leading for much of this contest, now trail by 1, and over the top shot trying to fight through to no avail was Fabrizio Rosidi.
And again, it just kind of goes back to those quick shots that Albion was looking for, but in that time, that wasn't necessarily the first shot that you wanted to take.
Yeah.
Ability to get back on offense, but it just kind of seemed like he saw some sort of ability, but there was 2 Firebird players right there, kind of able to deflect that shot a little bit.
Overcast afternoon in Kenosha, sunny when the game began. Not so much the case now, wind continuing to howl off the lakefront of Lake Michigan on the beautiful campus of Carthage. Britons with 10 on the shot clock, going for the long range. They got to work quickly if they want to get another opportunity. 8 seconds to get off a shot. This is the deepest in any possession for either team all game. Coming down to the crease with 4 seconds left. What a maneuver for the Britons. My goodness. Number 32, Andrew Miller. Defensively for the Firebirds, you almost say to yourself, just force him to the outside. They let him come back in.
Yeah, that was
Huge
a tough part
shot
there. His ability to, first of all, stick with the play and not give up on it. But again, once that crease was available, he was able to just sort of ride on it, flip it back a little bit. And again, the goalie being able to try and pop out and help out defensively, but left that opening. And again, this is just such a back and forth game.
Wow.
Nobody's been safe whatsoever.
Here's another look. Talk us through it, Kalia.
Yeah, you can just see him kind of stutter step. The stutter step really helped him just ride that crease, because defensively you wanted to push him out, but he kind of almost fell towards it and able to just ride it out and be able to get that shot off. And again, his ability to just stick with that play puts them back at a 0-0.
And again, the intent wasn't to, have the prettiest shot. It was just to get something aimed toward goal.
Right.
And it just so happened that one of the defenders that did the slide was the goalie himself. So you almost say to yourself, if Bloomer hadn't slid out and allowed the other defenseman to slide near side, he would have still been in goal. So it was almost as if it was an empty goal because the defenseman was going to slide to stop the offense, but instead had to divert to get into the goal space, and not able to do so. So we're tied at 8, 1:59 remaining in the third. A very entertaining afternoon of action. So looking out at the field of play, back in the contest, let it be noted, is Jake Westland. So he is back in the game now. And right now on the bench, exasperated for the Firebirds, looks to be Chad Coleman, the sophomore.
They're looking to get the shot clock running, I believe.
So the officials likely going to talk about how much time is left. Sitting down, as you see, with 23 seconds remaining on his infraction, number 42, Carter Kildrad, East Lansing, Michigan. Good job of the camera crew to identify him on the sideline. So penalty was holding with a minute 52 seconds remaining. About the fast pace of play. This has slowed it down a bit, but both clocks are started, and the Firebirds looking to regain the lead. The side shot from way downtown. He checks back in and delivers. Jake Westland, the lightning strike of Kenosha, the Kenosha kicker, goal number 2.
You can see Carthage just starting to get back into this one. Again, now just 9-8. But it's been such a back and forth game that after every goal, you can just see the excitement on the sidelines. Like, yes, let's get back into this one. But Carthage now, you want to see if you can pull away a little bit in this one. 1:44 left in this period. But you don't want Albion to be able to get into the fourth and have those hot starts that they've had at the beginning of every quarter, because it just keeps putting you in the same position.
And checking in now, number 7 for the Firebirds, Chad Coleman. Went for the quick shot off the face-off victory, not able to come away with it.
And that was a really good job by Albion, just being able to clog that lane right there and get that stop so he wasn't able to get the shot off.
If you're the defense right now of the Firebirds, you've really settled in this third quarter, Kalia, and as a former defenseman yourself, what per se hasn't been? Have they made an adjustment? Is it what is it that you're seeing?
I really think, it's not necessarily in the last one that we saw, but I think their defensive slides have been a little bit better as well. I think in those first couple of periods, what we were seeing is it was just kind of just like a little bit of a one-on-one, but Albion was moving the ball very well, so it seemed like Carthage just wasn't able to keep up with who had who. So I think the slides have been a little bit better in this one. You've seen a little less assisting from Albion because of it. And I think just being able to stay disciplined defensively has been improved for Carthage through the entirety of the game.
Strong defense. We've only had 1 yard sale so far today, and that was a Firebird losing the stick. Running it down, this may be a possession for Carthage. Almost matriculates out of play, still on the ground, and the shot clock will expire. And that will be Firebirds' possession, the first shot clock expiration of the afternoon with 8.1 seconds remaining in the third.
And that's just a really good job by the Carthage defense, just staying in front of your man. They barely even reached the 8-meter mark in that one. So their ability to just stay in front of their man and go out and play aggressive defensive as well. They met them borderline at the out of bounds, so their ability to just go over and get after those loose balls as well, and ended that one with No time left.
Your score at the end of 3, the Firebirds lead by 1, 9-8 over the Britons of Albion. Don't go anywhere. An exciting fourth quarter coming your way shortly on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Quarter number 4 about to get underway. For Kalia Butler, I'm Peter Ferreri on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. An entertaining afternoon of lacrosse, to say the least. Supposed to rain at some point. It has not started yet, but it's been raining goals as, for all intents and purposes, a defensive battle in some stands. Offense crisp when it needs to be. We said how the Firebirds have scored 12-plus goals this season. They're on pace for that right now. Albion right around their average. So will the oil and vinegar separate, or oil and water, you could say, at this point? Remains to be seen.
The oil and vinegar is starting making me think of like a Jersey Mike's
Oh,
sandwich.
yeah.
So now I'm hungry, Peter. This is all your fault.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk to the advertising team, have them be the next sponsor of the broadcast. Sub of the day. Because I'm all for it. We have the technology to, hold a sandwich.
Right.
And especially as we're already looking ahead to football season, as the CCIW football schedule has been released, that could be one of your sideline reports is, brought to you by Jersey Mike's.
Right.
And you're holding a sub and talking about their, the deal of the day.
I've had a lot of time speaking to Jersey Mike's, considering I was the manager for the women's basketball team at DePaul. That was a go-to meal.
Oh, yeah.
So I have really talked to too many people at Jersey Mike's. I've directed them to come to airports, etc. So yeah, I'm in deep with Jersey Mike's.
There we go. We've got to make that happen. Now, Culver's a huge sponsor, of course, of the Firebirds. That could always be, you could stand on the sideline with some cheese curds.
That was my go-to. I love a good cheese curd.
Yep. Or have you ever had the curd burger?
No.
No, that's where think about like a slice of cheese, but it's as a cheese curd.
Ooh.
On top of the patty.
What do the young kids call it now? That sounds like big back activities.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Calling me right out. They don't need to see my big back. It's all right.
It's all right. Summer's around the corner. I'm still going to eat one, though.
Oh, absolutely. As Albion trying to take down another goal, trailing by 1. Right now, I want to bring it up. If you are Albion, you're almost saying to yourself, we've done everything we could, took the lead, played, on our head defensively, but still just haven't been able to stop Carthage in their rallies. It's 2 goals here, 3 goals here. What do you have to do necessarily if you're Albion? Again, I just keep going back to utilize as much of the shot clock as possible. They did the last one, but the last 2 times, if you think about it, two possessions ago, they scored with 2 seconds remaining.
Mm-hmm.
The last one, they couldn't get a shot off in time. What can you do if you're Albion right now?
I mean, I do like the idea of being able to waste some more time on the shot clock. Obviously, that gives Carthage less time
Yeah.
to go back into their offense and get some shots up. But again, you need to just do something a little bit more effectively offensively within that time frame. And I think trying to start to get those shots off a little bit quicker instead of waiting like that.
Top shelf on the right corner. The hot cheese for number 4 for the Britons, Cal Stearns. We have waited with bated breath to say his name time and time again. That is goal number 2 for Stearns. We're tied at 4. You and I made a joke made mention during the timeout. The women's game is not set to start until 4 o'clock. That is Carthage and their 7-1 record taking on Calvin, who is 6-2. That doesn't start till 4. Plenty of time for overtime. It's feeling like it has the opportunity for that today.
Yes, the way this game has gone is so back and forth. There's been an answer every period, every possession. It might be an overtime game today.
Almost getting the interception, not able to do so. Turning offense into defense now, pushing the pace. Andrew Fry, quiet afternoon for Fry. No goals on the season, coming in 3rd in goals. So could the Fry guy find his first goal of the afternoon to break the deadlock at 9?
That's a really good nickname, the Fry Guy. Going back to the Culver's reference, I mean, this is basically NIL sort of sponsorship right there.
Well, you have lived through that, so you set all of that up. This broadcast sponsored by
the Fry Guy.
The Fry Guy. There you go. So back at X, resetting up the offense. And it's got to be tough defensively, though, for the Britons right now, because there hasn't been any consistent offense for the Firebirds. It's been, you pull out the bingo card and who gets the goal, where they get the goal, how they get the goal. You had the Sam Wallace from downtown Steph Curry type of goal. So, there's no trends right now of which you can try to stop.
There's not. And again, as you mentioned, defensively, that makes it difficult because there's not too much that you can really anticipate. I mean, they've been able to get their shots off from all different sorts of angles, all different sorts of ways. But also, I think they've had to sit in defense now for longer stints than they were at the beginning of the game, which can start to wear them out a little bit as well once you hit that 4th period. So I know personally, playing defense for just quarter after quarter, once those possessions get longer and you're deeper into the game, it is really hard to max out your effort. But if you are Albion, you are still tied up in this game.
Yep.
And as you said, you don't want them to start scoring in bursts. So just staying disciplined defensively.
Ben Kroc now on the bench, looking very labored and trying to potentially stretch out a quad or a hammy. That's another key player for the Firebirds, not in the lineup currently.
Yeah, he's huge for the Firebirds. Coach Neff said that he is one of the most improved players on this team and somebody that he really relies on for leadership-wise, both on and off the field. And again, just the growth that he has had over the years.
Intercepted by the Firebirds. Quick pass ahead. The goalie, Howell, retreating. One touch inside off the side of the net. No good. Running it down, 42 versus 42. The stretch pass ahead, and now the Britons back on the offense.
I mean, that's a great job by the Britons, too, being able to get back and defensively just kind of clog that lane right there and then be able to collect the ground ball. And there we go. Defense to offense.
A huge answer back. Number 23, Fabrizio Rossetti says Forza Britons as they have regained the lead with a little run of their own.
And that was a full field effort by the Britons as well. It all happened over here defensively, being able to get a stop, getting the ground ball, and just flying down, getting out in transition, and getting off a quick shot. Again, not taking much time off of the shot clock, and that is what's really been useful for them in today's game.
That is only the 2nd goal of the season for Rossetti. He is not known for his offense. He's more of your defensive midfielder, but able to come through in the timeliest of matters unassisted. That's got to be a nice shot in the arm if you're the offense of Albion, saying that we can trust, even though we're so many games into the season right now, that at any point in time, one of our teammates, here's another look.
Yeah, you see him grab it right here. And again, just kind of that ability to separate a little bit from the defenders, pulling back, getting that arm out, and then being able to get back into that cradle and get a release off.
Huge save, moving the stick off to the left, waving it down is Bloomer. An opportunity now for the Firebirds, under 9 minutes remaining in regulation, trailing now by 1. They led, albeit briefly in the contest, 5-4 and then 9-8. Pushed out of play, and that's going to be the change of possession.
And you can just see defensively, too, the Britons are playing much more aggressive than they have the entirety of this game. Again, they've kind of just allowed the Firebirds to get into that stretch offense that they have, really push out. But, I mean, you can see that aggressively, especially sort of in the midfield, they're trying to fight back for a possession and get those turnovers. So Albion just really, again, if they can start seeing a couple goals go together now and kind of get in those bursts that Carthage has, they can really separate here in the fourth.
Britons now already leading by 1. A huge turnover on the near side, forcing Jake Westland out of play. And you can tell, he's kind of laboring physically in the upper half of his body. So when he got that strong check against him, wasn't able to push back as much, and that back foot stepped out of play. But just like that, the Firebirds now able to stand tall defensively. Sam Wallace saying his name again. On the near side, streaking forward, Ben Kroc. Kroc, lower left side, huge save again by Howell, who has been all over the 6x6-foot net.
Yeah, Howell is just, a huge reason as to why they've been able to stay in this as well. As you mentioned, Carthage has had so many different shots on goal. They just really haven't seen them hit the back of the net as often as they would like in this one maybe. But, he has just done everything that he possibly can to just be that sort of final line of defense as well.
Well, as we've mentioned earlier, the Firebirds, 1 assist on the afternoon. He is taking away, the defense of Albion is taking away any good offensive lane, A, and B, Howell has not allowed any second chance opportunities. It is, you get your 1 shot per your possession, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think what you just said is really big. There's no second chance opportunities where I think Albion, especially in those first couple of quarters before we've been able to see a change in the goalie, there was a lot of second chance opportunities. But now, he has done a fantastic job at taking that away and limiting the Firebirds to, you have to get that 1 shot and then you got to try again in the next possession.
6:15 remaining in the contest. Firebirds trail by 1 with possession. Andrew Johnson, already the hat trick on the afternoon, fires high. No good on the spot. Alec Gurn resetting up the offense for Carthage. Andrew Johnson retreats far. One thing we've seen as well, the Britons offensively, really that condensed attack, really trying to get a sea of sticks in front of where all the Firebirds may be defensively. It's the exact opposite for what Carthage does, really trying to spread it out. That'll work its way out of play. Possession stays. With the reset of the shot clock, 30 seconds now to go. Can the Firebirds find the answer? Screen off the top, and that'll be a violation. Likely going to be called. It looks to be against Logan Bride, the junior out of Waterford, Michigan, as he had those hands separated on the stick. Trying to fire low, Andrew Johnson had it knocked away, matriculates its way. Shot clock will expire, but with that infraction, possession to stay with the Firebirds after this meeting with 5:15 to go.
And you can see the Firebirds, well, let me start with Albion.
Yes.
They have done, again, as I said all game, they've done a really good job at trying to sort of clog the inside and not allowing the Firebirds to kind of get their way in. If you're the Firebirds, you need to figure out how to get your way a little bit closer to the crease, get some crease rolls involved. Haven't seen a bunch of X play from them either, but I mean, some of these outside shots that they're taking, I mean, there's been an answer, obviously,
Correct.
defensively the whole time. I think they just need to try and this spread out attack. I'm not sure if it's been working for them time in and time out, so trying to clog back in and get some cuts involved, set a pick, see what can happen.
Zone defense by the Britons. High shot, no good. Possession staying with the Firebirds. Talk to me through what it's like being down a player, 39 seconds remaining. How do you try to find your spacing defensively?
Defensively, I mean, this comes with a lot of communication when you are down. And again, it just kind of comes back to trying to clog that inside as much as possible.
And that's a goal right through the breadbasket of Howell Hugs for the Firebirds as once again we are tied, this time at 10 apiece. Carthage takes advantage of the man-up opportunity. 4:42 remaining. Kalia, are you not entertained in this matchup?
I am very entertained in this matchup, but I'm very curious to see what the final 4:42 of this game brings, because at this point there could be 5 different goals, there could be 1 goal, it could be tied up at the end. I mean, nobody anticipated this one today.
15-7, the face-off differential. That was another goal by Jacob Cameron, his second of the afternoon, unassisted. So yet again, Firebirds not utilizing that assist category much, not needing to, tied at 10. That'll be so intriguing to see what the Britons do offensively. Let's take another look at that goal.
You see the pass here, just sort of reading inside, being able to just turn around, face up, and shoot, essentially. And ability to get that high stick right there. And a clean finish for the Firebirds.
Grounder knocked away by Bloomer. And the Firebirds come away with possession. Sprinting on the near sideline. Trying to turn defense into offense, Sam Wallace. The long sticksman's unguarded, going all the way back to X. Timeout going to be called. And just like that, Kalia, with 3:44 remaining, a chance for the Firebirds now to drop the best play they can offensively to regain the lead.
Yeah, and again, time's running out here. This is a team that I can anticipate does not really want to go into overtime on this one. If it brings to it, obviously you have to take on that challenge. But if you're the Firebirds, you still do not want to lose at home, and you want to try and utilize this final 3:44 the best that you can. And again, those kind of scoring in bunches that they have had. Get a few of those goals in to try and separate yourself late, and then relying on your defense to kind of take care of the job on the other side.
If you're the Britons right now, you being a former defenseman in your own right, what are you talking about defensively? Again, you have 70 seconds on the shot clock. You got to have your best defensive alignment you've had all afternoon.
I think you just have to keep the Firebirds in front of you, honestly. I mean, you've kind of seen some of them being able to just turn around, face up, and shoot. I think that just comes back to Albion being able to put that defensive pressure on them that you saw earlier in the game and kind of really ride them, because Carthage is a team that if you create any level of separation with them, they have the ability and senior leadership to get those shots off quickly. So being able to stay tight to your man and making sure that you are pushing them as far out as possible.
Alongside former player Kalia Butler, I'm Peter Ferreri. We are tied at 10 apiece. One of the final games of the non-conference schedule. After today, the Britons hit MIAA play. They'll be at Hope College in Holland, Michigan versus welcoming Kalamazoo, who the Firebirds defeated a week ago. As for Carthage, after today, they start CCIW play in Elmhurst a week from today, Saturday the 5th. So some long breaks in between these last 2 contests for the Carthage College Firebirds, so you really want to see them go all out in the final 3 minutes plus.
Yeah, and to your point, looking ahead at that schedule, Coach Neff said that Elmhurst is one of those teams that he's really looking forward to playing, but also can pose a real threat to them. So, as you said, getting those long stretches before being able to get practices in and really mentally preparing for those sort of games, and as well as just conference play in general, could be really key for them.
Yeah, those are the type of games where you've seen each other year after year, team after team, game after game, and when you have this core four for the Firebirds, many of them in their 5th year. Trying for the grounder, Johnson loses a step, and the Britons come up with the possession. Huge turn of events for Albion. The quick flick ahead. Defense couldn't converge in time, and just like that, the Britons now with 2.5 remaining looking to break the deadlock. Timeout now for Albion. So Albion will now have an opportunity to regain the lead with 2:31 remaining. And Kalia, I am sure Andrew Johnson's going to want that shot back. Just lost his footing while trying to give the sidewinder a 1.5 feet outside of the goal crease.
Yeah, and again, that's a credit to Albion and the defense that they have been able to showcase a little bit here, and trying to, shut Andrew Johnson out in this one too, because he already has a hat trick on the day. He is one of those players, again, one of those grad students on the team that can really just come up in these big time games, and the ability to get the win here if he's able to get some of those shots off. But I'm sure he wishes he could get that one back.
So the test will be for Luke Bloomer, the sophomore out of Prior Lake, Minnesota High School. Did not get the start today, came in halfway through the second period. And again, not to look too far ahead, but if you're the Firebirds and you're saying to yourself, hey, our sophomore goalie came in relief and had us tied at 10 apiece with 2:31 remaining, that's got to be a real good feeling, not only about the current state of the team, but the future, that, not going to call for a goalie change at any point during the season. But again, that's got to be confidence for your defense, at least in this final 2.5 of the game.
Yeah, definitely huge confidence booster for the team, knowing that you have a sophomore goalie that can come in and make an impact right away.
But with that being said, the one touch, strutting it out for the Britons, number 40, Luke Schumann, the freshman, able to deliver, and he now has the first hat trick for Albion. So just out of the timeout, wide open lane.
Wide open lane. This game has just been a wild one.
Yeah.
You just never know what to expect out of each possession. Offensively, though, the Britons being able to just see those wide open lanes that they have had in this game, a little bit uncharacteristic for the defense of Carthage, but I think kind of shows those spots that they can improve in. But if you're Albion, being able to take this lead with 2:15 left and just hoping that you can play some of the strongest defense possible.
Misguided pass over the middle. Crisis averted for the Firebirds. So they win another crucial face-off. And you almost say to yourself, if they didn't win this many face-offs, here's another look at that goal.
Just a lot of power in that one.
Wow.
His ability to just turn his hips, his foot was lifted. A lot of power in that shot.
Carthage needs their best shot of the afternoon. Should they not make it, with 90 seconds remaining, the Britons can run out the clock. Staunch defense thus far in the possession. Good job by Ethan Barker stopping that attempt. Here comes the run. Near side back to X. Looking inside, couldn't find the one touch. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Carthage needs a shot. They need it now. Johnson. Here comes the shot. Bottom corner. Flicks up. Ricocheted away. Ground ball again. And with 2 seconds on the shot clock, Howell comes away with it. What a turn of events for the Albion Britons.
And now if you're the Britons, you're going to want to just hold on to this ball for the final 40 2 seconds left in the game.
So now you need somehow to force a turnover. You're going to see the physicality of the Firebirds. There indeed is going to be the flag. So regardless of the outcome of this shot or possession, the Britons will regain possession with a whistle or change of possession. 15 on the game clock. What an outing for the Albion Britons, handing the Firebirds their first loss at home this season. And with 3, with 2, with 1, that's going to be it. That's going to be all she wrote. The Albion Britons converge around their goalkeeper, Caleb Howell, the sophomore out of Battle Creek, had one more save than the visiting, or I should say, than the home Firebirds, and they come out on top 11-10. Kalia, my goodness, what an exciting game.
I mean, this was a really fun game to watch, and if you're Albion, you should be incredibly proud, obviously not just from the win, but their ability to just stick through it the entirety of the game. They had a great offensive showing, kind of switching up what they typically do and still able to get the job done, and defensively being able to hold the Firebirds to 10, usually averaging around 12. Yeah. Again, not a huge difference, but again, a difference maker in this game. But overall, Carthage, Carthage did play a solid game as well. I just think Albion really came out in this one and just wanted it a little bit more.
Yeah, let's take a look really quickly at some of the final numbers of this afternoon's contest. Again, looking first at the goalkeeping numbers. Howell, 19 saves to 10 goals. Williamson started the contest, had 6 saves, allowing 6 goals. Bloomer, 6 saves, 5 goals. So the combined effort of the Firebirds falling just short. Again, and looking at the differentials here, 8-2 your assist differential, 51-30 is your shot differential. Carthage put up 51 shots, and Kalia, most afternoons, most evenings, you outshoot your opponent by 21 shots. That's usually going to lead to a victory. They just didn't fall where they needed to.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, again, just credit to what they were able to do, what Albion was able to do just in goal as well. I mean, what a difference maker that was for them, and just their ability to anticipate, read, and just stick together defensively to get the job done.
Yeah, 19 saves to 12, the differential. As well, looking at some of the bright points for the Firebirds as they approach conference play a week from today. They won in the face-off circle 16-8. They won in the ground balls 42-22. 51-30 we mentioned was the shot differential. For all intents and purposes, all those numbers usually is going to result in a victory. Albion just one more goal as we look there at the final numbers. 51-30, 29-23, the on-goal differential. The assists, Albion, that one extra touch just proved fits for the Firebirds defensemen and goalkeepers all afternoon. But once again, we want to thank you for being with us this beautiful day in Kenosha. It started out sunny, then got a little bit gloomy, but nonetheless, 4 o'clock, so less than 2 hours, is going to be the women's lacrosse program taking on Calvin University. Kalia Butler alongside Chris Labasco will be on that call. And then if you want, tune on over as the men's volleyball program will be going in just less than an hour. Next broadcast for the men's Firebirds lacrosse program versus Carroll College, Wednesday, April 16th. We will be back on the call for that one, so make sure you put that on your calendars as we'll be back for that one. I'll be back for that one. You'll be back for that one?
I don't think I will. I think that's my birthday week.
Okay. She needs a week, usually a whole month, but just a week this time.
Not a week. I'll just be out of town that
For
day.
executive producer Mike Lugg, producer John Voinovich, as well as Jeremy, Emma, Addison, and Owen. Great job as always. A fully student-produced broadcast. This program has been a presentation to Firebird Broadcast Productions and Carthage College. Copyright 2025. Once again, the Firebirds fall 11-10 versus the Britons. For Kalia Butler, I'm Peter Ferreri. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you shortly for either volleyball or women's lacrosse on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.